Waiting for the high sign to start.
On air.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the meeting of the Mashpee Sewer Commission on September 18th, on Thursday, 2 p.m. at Mashpee Town Hall in the walkway meeting room. And we are at 16 Great Neck Road, Mashpee, and we're being broadcast live on local channel 8 or high definition channel 1072. And we're streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website on mashpeema.gov channel 8. So I'm calling the meeting to order, and may I ask you if you can stand, to please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And may we all just have a short moment of silence. Okay, and thank you. And may I ask you to silence any cell phones that you might have, including myself. All right, so if we move forward with our agenda, we would like to have a review of two different meeting minutes, and we'll take them separately. August 21st would be the first one. Have the commissioners had a chance to read the August 21st minutes? And if so, you can tell me what your thoughts are.
I'd like to make the motion, we accept it as written.
Is there a second, please?
I second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, okay. The meeting minutes are accepted unanimously for August 21st. May we also have a review of the special meeting of July 31st on the 25th, July 31st on 2025.
I move those be accepted as read.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, may we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no, no denials or, okay, so the minutes for the 31st of July are also accepted unanimously. So the next item on the agenda would be to ask anyone in the audience if they're interested in expressing any public comment. Please come forward and give your name and your address, and try to limit your statements to 3 minutes.
Hi, good afternoon, Susan Dangle, Katuitt Road. I'm sitting here as president of Save Mashpee Wakeby Pond Alliance, and I've been before you many times. I wanted to first echo my comments that I made to the select board on Monday. I found the first informational workshop meeting to be one of the best, if not the best, meeting that I have sat through over 5 years for Mashpee. It was a very, very strong signal that the residents and the town staff and the town decision makers are working together to make this cluster system be the best it can be. I have since been a little discouraged as this, which I've given to Mr. Meter and Mr. Collins. This flyer with nobody's name attached to it is being stuck in the doors of people in the Gunter's Lane neighborhoods. It's full of facts that are not correct. And last evening at the planning board, there were many statements made by planning board members that are not correct. So if possible, I would like to have these and the things that were said last night excerpted and addressed at the next meeting. I think it's important, as people are trying to get as much information as they can, that it be accurate and it come from the people who actually know what they're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg McKelvey, 11 Menipsha Road, Mashpee. For the sake of full disclosure, I'm on the Mashpee Finance Committee, but I'm not here to speak on behalf of that committee today. I'm speaking as a private individual, someone that has a vested interest in our community and seeing where things are going in the environment that we're in today. A lot of discussion about what's happening with wastewater at Zero Gunther's Lane, and I have to echo the statements that were just made about the meeting on the 11th. I've sat through many of these meetings as a member of the Finance Committee and as a member of a citizen of Mashpee. And the meeting on the 11th was one of the best meetings I've been to. It answered question after question after question. And if people want answers, they need to come to the people that have the answers. You know, we often hear about talking to the experts. Well, the experts are sitting right over here, Ashley and Jared. They both can help answer your questions as well as anyone in their office. And people should be looking to go to those next meetings. There's 2 more meetings coming up. I'm not sure the dates on those off the top of my head, but I'm sure Jared has those. But there's 2 more informational sessions coming up in the near future, and I encourage people to come to that because there's a lot at stake in our water solution scenario with this one objective to get this project built. One of the things that concerns me, of course, is financing. As we are coming to this, if we happen not to approve Zero Gunther's Lane, we lose the money that's been committed to 0% interest and forgiveness. And that could hurt us in the future going through the other projects because they may not approve those projects if we don't go through with this. If we reject this money and this project, they may just say, well, maybe Mashpee's finished and not go further. I would hate for that to happen. Mashpee's invested a lot in it, blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point. And as a community, I believe we need to go forward together. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, moving forward to our next item on the agenda. We don't have any old business on the agenda, but we do have new business with the GHD project update. And I'd also like to second the approval, not the approval, but the praise for the September 11th meeting, and to thank Jared and Ashley and Mark Drainville from GHD, our consulting engineers.
Good afternoon, Mark Drainville with GHD. So I was asked to talk about a number of topics today, so I'm going to hit a lot of topics, but not go into a lot of depth with them. So if need be, I'm happy to come back and go into depth on them or answer questions today. So first, phase 1. So the plant itself is active in treating wastewater. We have some minor equipment issues that are being addressed. Motors, there's instruments that are still being fine-tuned. Substantial completion for the project will be achieved as successful operational periods are completed. So the equipment has to go through a certain number of consecutive days of successful operation. So as far as the collection system, I think you're aware, but it is for phase 1, it is active and available to residents. We have 108 connections completed as of Tuesday. And then phase 1A is still under construction. 1A is the blue area, and it's about 82% complete. Should be completed by January, and this represents around 13% nitrogen removal. So phase 2. These are some images that we created at the beginning of phase 2, and they might have to be tweaked a little bit just to kind of show how things ended up in the end. But just in general, this is the northern service area, so north of Town Hall. It's about 13 miles of pipe, 5 pumping stations, 750 parcels. So this is about 20% of nitrogen removal goals for Pompanesett Bay for this northern portion. Okay. This is the southern service area, so south of Town Hall, south of phase 1, if you will, and this represents around 9% of the nitrogen removal goals. So this is the phase that's getting underway. So there's a lot of heavy information in here. So the SRF deadlines were met. We had to have signed contracts for all 6 contracts by the end of August, and those were met by the end of August. A notice to proceed was issued for September 2nd for each of the contracts. That starts the clock ticking for each of the contracts. They all have a certain number of days to complete the work, and that starts the clock. We had pre-construction meetings for 5 of the 6 contracts on Monday. So all of the contracts except the pumping station. So contract 1 is the treatment plant. Contracts 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all collection system. So we had all pre-construction meetings except for the pumping stations. That's coming soon. A pre-construction meeting goes over very basic requirements for the contract. It just talks about SRF requirements. It talks about the contract administration requirements. So it's a lot of, it's just kind of an administrative meeting. The notice to proceed, the start, and the substantial completion dates for each of the contracts is listed next. So the first and the last are kind of contractual dates, and the middle one is what the contractor has told us they're going to start. So contract 1, which is the treatment plant, September of 2025 is the notice to proceed. They're going to be starting immediately, and they have to be finished by September of 2027, so about 2 years. Contract 2, the pumping stations, they were given the notice to proceed this month also. We don't know exactly when they're going to start, and they have 2 completion dates, July and December of 2027. They have pumping stations in the north and the south, and the completion dates are different depending on the collection system they're working in. Contracts 3 and 4 have similar dates. You could see notice to proceed September, and they plan to start after January 1st. This is CC Construction, has both of those contracts, and both of those contracts have a substantial completion date of July of 2027. And then contract 5, again, starting September this month. They're planning to get started at the end of November. This is Robert B. Auer, and their completion date is December of 2027. And then the last contract, contract 6, they're planning to start like CC Construction after January 1st, and then they have a completion date of December of 2027. Startup of the contracts will be phased, but for the most part, we're talking about 2027 at this point for all of that work. Okay.
Do you mind if I ask a question before you proceed? Does that mean then that the collection will also be phased? So they'll be able to start with collection as soon as one area of collection is completed without having to wait until 6 is completed, or no?
So the startup doesn't have to wait until all the contracts are done, but they're all going to be in 2027.
Right.
Okay. So
But they will be phased in as they're ready and
like
available.
the southern ones are going to be finished a little bit sooner.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But they won't have to wait until all are done. Just a brief summary of the progress on this project, the Mashpee Wakeby project. So, as you know, we had the resident meeting, I think it was called a workshop, on September 11th. There was about a 40-minute overview presentation that was provided. I think it's available on the town website right now. We had over 50 questions, including questions on the site, the collection system, requests for sidewalk, groundwater flow, many different topics. There was only one comment that was made. There was a comment made commending the information. There are additional resident meetings held on the 25th of September, the 2nd and 16th of October. And then we owe a submission to SRF on October 3rd. It's called an application. And I will be talking at the end about the SRF process in general, just to give that a little bit more information about that. And then the town meeting article is on October 20th.
Has the article been prepared for the town meeting?
Yes. Yep, it's already been submitted to select board, they've already voted on it, it's already gone to bond council.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
So again, I'm kind of touching on a lot of topics. I'm not
Yeah.
spending a lot of time, all right, on this. So watershed management plan update, notice of project change. So it's kind of a clumsy title here, but the watershed management plan update, that is the update of your 2015 plan. Notice of project change is a DEP term, okay? So I have to include both of those here. So just briefly, so we presented a draft plan earlier this year, was presented to collect comments from the town, which we did get some. Primary comments were from the Sewer Commission about Great Neck Road South and DPW coordination on paving. What I mean by that is that there are roads that are paved every year using limited funds, Chapter 90 funds, and we met with Catherine to try and coordinate the phasing so we're not working in roads that were just paved, and so that going forward she knows where to focus effort. So that's another effort that's underway. So the next steps are to see if we have a consensus on the phasing, including coordination meeting with DPW. So what I'd like to do is just share and I'm going to walk you through this. Okay, I know this is a confusing figure, so just give me a second here. So this is the phasing plan we've been showing. I know it's a detailed plan to kind of see at this view, but I blew up the central portion because that's where we're focused right now. So the phase 3, phase 3 was originally going to be here in the Wacoit area. There's a lot of new paving in that area. So we are looking to pivot phase 3 to be this area right here, the light green.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and again, this is all, it's an effort to do a couple of things. It's to coordinate on the paving and also to accommodate Sewer Commission comments. So that would be phase 3. Phase 4, we're looking at the Great Neck Road South area to kind of pivot to this area next. And then phase 5, we would be looking to go back to Wacoit in this area here. And we have to meet with Catherine to coordinate this, but again, we're trying to coordinate your requests, your commission's requests, as well as the paving schedule. So I guess I need to schedule a meeting with Catherine to go over that with her, but you know, we did move that Great Neck Road South up quite a bit in the schedule. So I would definitely be coming back to talk again about it, but because I do need to meet with Catherine, but I wanted to at least share that, okay?
Thank you.
So watershed permits, I have this as part of this this watershed management plan update because they're somewhat related. So the town submitted and the state accepted what's called a notice of intent. Unfortunately, I talked about this before, conservation uses that same phrase. The notice of intent was a notice of intent to file a watershed permit. That's the kind of the long term for that. So the town submitted a notice of intent indicating to the state that you will be doing a watershed permit, and that got you out of the penalty phase, okay, of this whole process. You need to submit that by 2030. Once the watershed management plan update is complete, I think we would be strategizing with the wastewater department and having further discussions about a more firm schedule. But I think we want to finish this phasing plan, and then we could talk about when the watershed permit application could be submitted. But you have until 2030. Okay.
So that essentially means that the 2015 plan was essentially a 30-year plan to remove the nitrogen from the embayments in the bay and the bays in the watershed. And this new adapted plan then meets the state requirements to remove 70% of the nitrogen within 20 years.
That's correct.
Great. This is really exciting.
And it has the balance afterward. Okay, but one of the things that the town is going to need to do, which is a good thing, is every 5 years assess where you are. You know, could be better or worse. You know, so
When's our first 5-year assessment?
So technically, it's right now, where this plan update that we're doing is right now. Their next one would be.
So we're starting base zero.
Yeah, so.
We haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, so so this one is being done because you were required to do it at the end of phase one. So it's being done at the
Okay.
end of phase one, okay? The next one is technically due right around 2030. You could do it a little bit ahead of that if you wanted to, but that's roughly, that's the time
Depends on
frame.
how much we got in the ground. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
Excellent, thank you.
Talk about other studies. So there are three other studies that have been going on over the course of the past 9 months or so. The first one is a Wacoit Bay watershed recharge evaluation. This is, we identified a site for recharge of treated effluent in the Wacoit Bay watershed. And the town actually got a grant for this to help fund this, but we've been trying to kind of vet out the site, okay? And so right now, we're in the process of seeking access rights to get to the site, but we've been, the site seems like it's a pretty decent site at this point.
This is new.
We've been working on it, and
Yeah.
I guess
No, I know you've been working on it for quite a while.
Yeah.
2
yeah.
years or more.
Well, not this site, not this site.
No, no,
This
no,
is-
no, but I mean, you've been working on trying to find recharge since we've been
Yes.
told by the state that we can't do recharge that we were going to plan to do, and so, but this new news that you've identified a site that you're now vetting is really exciting.
Yeah, so this is a new site, and it holds some promise, and
Okay.
so, all right.
We'll be
so,
cautiously optimistic.
Was that the site that was marked out in the map earlier, before slide?
No.
That was the site for the treatment plant? The phase 4 and 6?
Hang on one second.
Yeah. Phase 3, sorry, yeah.
It's not marked on here.
It's not marked here.
Yeah, it's not
But
marked
where,
on here.
is it in the same area?
It's in the Wacoit Bay watershed. It's kind of, so this is the upper portion of the Wacoit watershed that we're looking to sewer. We're looking in this vicinity for the plant and the recharge area.
Where is that? I cannot see
It's above.
you're doing.
Sorry, I'm being a little bit vague because it is,
That's okay.
we're still working on it, so I'm
Up the road from here.
Yeah.
Staying on 130 heading towards Sandwich. It's up the road up there. It's a little landlocked right now without taking down trees, and we don't want to take down trees if we don't have to. So we're trying to get alternative access, whether it be through the base.
Back in against the base?
Yeah, it's against the base. And I am going to talk later about challenges that we face, but I just wanted to let you know where things stand with this one. Yeah, yep. Joe.
Okay, I was waiting for you to get to the next sentence. Private
Private
evaluation?
facility. Yeah. So,
Neither, would you name those two that you were referring to as neither?
yes, I can, you want me to name them?
Yes.
Yes. So we're looking at we were asked to look at two private facilities in town, Southport and Willow Bend, to see if, it would be a good investment for the town to make to take them over. And I can provide more detail for this later, but what I would tell you right now is that we're finding it would not be a good financial investment to take those over. And part of it has to do with the fact that portions of both are quite old, so it would require investment. It's, you could probably all appreciate this. I'm like this, like I very much value things that I have, but if someone's going to buy it from me, they don't value it the same way. And just because, it's like buying a car from somebody, someone wants to pay less than what you're willing to sell it for. So it's similar here. You'd have to put money into, varying amounts of money into both facilities to bring them up to some standard that you should feel comfortable with. And further, I'll say that we're getting hints from the state that nitrogen limits for some of these facilities are probably going to drop. And so that means even more, treatment. So, go ahead,
What do you
Joe.
mean nitrogen limits are going to drop?
So we're hearing that right now, a lot of these smaller facilities
Right.
are 10 milligram per liter limits.
Right.
And, you know, we're starting to hear from the state that they're going to push for 5.
Okay, so what we are confronted here with is an agency called the state has told us what we have to do. And that involves us doing something municipally, and otherwise, the state is still telling the smaller producers in our area what they can and cannot do. So they're apt to be facing a rebuild of their sites. Or we could buy them and rebuild them. Or they could become our west processing facility. So all of those options are still on the table. Nothing's concluded. Isn't that correct?
No, yeah, I mean, that's an option if, you know, we're looking at it as a right now.
Could also use their sites as sites for water recharge.
That's still an option.
Those are all still options that are open. It's not closed out.
No, I'm not closing it, and we can talk more. It's draft. I'd like to share what we found for the
It
evaluation.
all comes down to money again.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep. We also have been doing what we're calling a Wacoit Bay Watershed Treatment and Collection Evaluation. So we have tentatively identified a site for a new treatment facility for the Wacoit Bay area. The collection system area is being coordinated as part of the sewer phasing that I just talked about a little while ago. And the recharge evaluation status is something I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about. So both, I've mentioned before that both Pompanesett Bay and Wacoit Bay require a recharge evaluation. We need more recharge sites, okay, or more capacity, let me call it that, all right? So for Pompanesett Bay, our goal is to maximize the recharge capacity at the current site. Okay, you have 8 sand beds right now. We're sending flow there at a higher than what the minimum for the state will allow, but we would like to be able to send more flow to those 8 beds. Okay, so the goal is to try and pursue, you know, more flow at those facilities. So we're going to have to do additional recharge evaluations at that site in order to try and get that, and it might involve doing pilot testing in the field to demonstrate to the state that they can take a higher flow. For Wacoit Bay, the goal is to identify, right now we have a site that's further away than I would like it to be from the plant, from a proposed plant site. I'd like the site to be closer so we don't have to pump as far. Yes, Joe?
Is the cell tower site still in consideration? The cell tower site.
I'm not sure if I know where that is.
There's a cell tower
Is that
site on, what is it? Red Brook Road. There's like 10 acres down there that's not restricted.
It's not off the table by all means, but I heard recently that it's currently being used as a location for another town entity because of the new police station being built and everything, so it's being currently used, but it's not off the table as far as when it comes time for us to build, so we're just gotta look at the timing, but.
What is the other consideration at this time?
It's, because they're building the police station, some equipment was housed at the police station for like the DNR and stuff, and they need a place to house that equipment while they're doing the reconstruction, so that's kind of become the
Yeah.
site where equipment's going to, but that's only a temporary, if we were to build
Yeah,
today issue. So we're
parking
still
site,
looking,
yeah.
we're still looking at it, and it's definitely not off the table.
Is there also a concern about the potential of that PFAS plume reaching that far south? That it's migrated, so it might be within the plume area?
Could you use your microphone, please?
That delineated PFAS plume from Joint Base Cape Cod, believe that is inside that area. It has extended further south, so there is new maps to delineate, but
Okay.
pretty sure.
Yeah,
could
well,
become
it's
compromised.
to the advantage, even if it has, is to put more liquid in there and flush it all out. So
No.
that's a positive, not a negative.
It's a little bit of it's not a deal breaker,
Yeah.
but it's a complication, I'll say.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and I'll talk a little bit about that in
Yeah.
a minute too, all right?
Okay.
So, well, that's, the PFAS plume is a challenge, so. So the challenges that we face in both watersheds for Pompanesett Bay, it's primarily mounding, which I'm going to remind everybody what that is in a minute. And for Wacoit Bay, mounding is always an issue. That's the groundwater mounding, and then the PFAS plume is it's a secondary challenge that we have there. Not a deal breaker, but it's a challenge. Okay. Let me just briefly talk, just to remind everybody what this is. So, this is a what's called a contour plan that shows the levels of the groundwater when you add water to the ground. So this is your current site, and this is what we submitted to the state to show how much the groundwater will increase. You could see the 2, the 1.5, the 1. That's a 2-foot increase, a 1.5-foot increase, a 1-foot increase. So the groundwater goes up by that much.
That is just a academic representation. If there's no flow, that's what would happen. But we know that that's flowing from north to south there, so it's not as critical as those red lines show.
Well, well, that increase is only at the beds too. As you go further out, it's very small. Okay, so that's only like right at the beds. So there is an increase when you put the groundwater, when you put the effluent into the ground, you will see an increase to some extent.
Yeah, but that's just a mathematical representation of the quantity of water, physical size, raising it if there's no flow out of that area. That happens to be a natural watershed that's flowing north to south. So no matter how much we put in, we're going to increase the amount of water flowing north to south. So that is a truthful representation of a mathematical oddity that it may not have any presence in the future. We shouldn't be afraid of that. We've got to evaluate it, but we don't have to be afraid of it.
I'm not showing it because this is a problem. It's
Right.
the fact that it's that high, I mean, that's
But
not
it's going to
alarming.
become
I'm
a
not-
problem because it's displayed on the wall as an issue.
Yeah, no, I didn't bring it
Just
up
an
to...
explanation of what the term is.
What's happening,
Yeah.
that's all, right? So where it becomes an issue is when you get to the outer reaches of that mounding, and you can see the outermost one is 0.1 feet, okay? That's like an inch, all right? If you start to intersect a freshwater body, the state expresses a concern because you could influence that freshwater body, all right? And I'm going to show this in it's called a profile view. So the green here, which I'm not sure how well you could see it, but that's the static groundwater level if we weren't adding water to the ground, okay? And then on your site, if we add water to the ground, you can see there's a little bit of a blue bump there. So that's the new groundwater level when we add treated effluent to the ground, all right? And I'm going to show you something, and it's very exaggerated to make a point, okay? So if we end up adding too much water and you intersect this groundwater body, you could elevate the freshwater level such that you're influencing the vegetation and the wildlife that's there, okay? So, and I'll give you an example. A vernal pool, for example, the state's very concerned about that. If you raise the groundwater level, you could convert your vernal pool into a wetland, and then it's no longer goes through the wet and the dry cycles that make it a vernal pool. So I just wanted to explain like what we're watching, what the state is watching in these modeling exercises, okay?
And yesterday at the 1K conference, this was addressed with the regional director of the DEP. It was brought up by multiple people. Cape Cod, being that we're under this 208, are very concerned about recharge, and the DEP has recognized that they are working towards exceptions for the Cape and Islands because they build their policies to best encompass the whole state and not just an area dealing with specific issues. And they recognize that we have almost 1,000 ponds on Cape Cod, so that becomes an issue for almost every location. So they're already addressing it and working towards a solution.
So this is the PFAS plume that Ashley referred to earlier. So this is the joint base. That's the orange line. That's the outline of the joint base. And the pink is the PFAS plume. This is what's called a confirmed PFAS plume. There's also a presumed, I think is what they call it, PFAS plume, which extends a bit north and probably elsewhere, but I know it
Further
and
south.
south too.
Yep.
So the recharge site that we have been looking at in the Wacoit watershed is actually out of not only the confirmed, but also the presumed PFAS plumes. The reason that we were looking outside of that is the state did tell us that if we're going to put a recharge site within the PFAS plume, then we need to demonstrate to them that we're not influencing the migration of the plume. Okay? What does that mean? I don't know, but when the state expresses a nebulous thing to me, it makes me a little bit nervous. So we started looking outside of the plume. We've had internal discussions within the town, and I think we're going to look in the plume too and see if we can get a more advantageous site.
So
Okay?
right now, with reference to the plume, where is the proposed recharge site?
It's up to the north. It's up to the
Right,
north.
but does it really matter? Because the watershed flows north to south, right? So no matter what, you're going to impact the PFAS plume in
I
some
think what they're worried
capacity.
about is we don't create like that bubble that pushes it out
Yeah.
quicker as opposed to just passing through gently. I think is what they're more worried about.
I'm not sure that they have dealt with a recharge site in a PFAS plume before. So it's, when there's something they haven't done before.
Let's bring that up if it becomes an issue.
Yeah, so,
So this stupid question, I just remembered. We don't, in the effluent, we don't monitor PFAS, right?
we do not.
We do not. So
Cannot, yeah.
There's no standard for it for wastewater.
But if you do test for it and they find it, you will now have to treat all of your stuff as hazardous materials.
but why would we not be proactive to do that, especially for Wacoit Bay?
Money.
No, so there is a reason.
But we are,
So,
we, we might be making it worse.
so this is, so in general, it's not recommended that you test for anything that you're not required to test for in your permit.
No, but that's not a
We know it's
valid
in there.
logic, right? Because PFAS is, we know it's,
So what happens?
today you have nitrogen limits, tomorrow you're gonna have PFAS limits for sure.
So there isn't a standard that the state asks you to meet. And if you do test for something that's not in your permit, the state could ask you to act on it. And there's no, you're caught in a difficult position then.
But,
Of unknowns.
right, but are we trying to just check the box and declare victory
No.
that? would
Stop
that
checking
be-
boxes.
No,
right? But
no, it,
we should be proactive to,
so right
No.
now, I couldn't tell you the best process to put in to take out PFAS if you needed to. It's still, that's still under development.
And there's no standard.
And there's no
well,
standard
there is,
for it.
right? So I mean, like,
No
I know,
standard.
I've seen I mean, I know we are digressing, but just for academic interest, I've seen the wells at the joint base, and they have that filter, right? They intercept the groundwater,
Yeah.
and they pump it to the base, and they put high carbon filter and pump it back.
That's right.
So that is a proven technology.
Right.
Or you heat it to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit.
We don't have a limit to meet, though. So you can treat it, but you don't know what limit to treat it to.
Or they have, EPA
that's-
has for drinking water, but there is.
They do for drinking water.
Right.
Correct. I mean, wastewater is a different
Sure, it
different
is, yeah.
situation.
Because we
So
know
it-
what's in our wastewater. I mean, if you brush your teeth or do your laundry at all with a standard product off the shelf, you're a direct contributor to PFAS. We know it's there. All those materials, dental
Just use your
floss.
microphone.
Oops, sorry. Dental floss has PFAS in it. Toothpaste, shampoo, laundry detergent, dish detergent. So we know it's in there, and we do. And it's not that we're not aware of it, but we just worry about you test for it, and we know it's there. We know we would have a hit for it. What are the consequences? The financial, to me, number one is financial consequences. Now we have to meet the standard. It might kill our nitrogen because of the cost it now puts on the town as a burden. And we're aware, and we try to take as much as we can, and we're always evaluating, but I think in that case, it's just like you're trying to get yourself in trouble. You know, before, with a better explanation, yeah, I think.
just, we don't have a limit to meet, so as an engineer, it's hard for me to
This
say.
is just like cancer 50 years ago. Now people know about PFAS. So awareness is key. So no, we are the,
Yep.
early stages of that, so,
So I will say that we are not discharging into any drinking water areas, okay? So there is that level of protection, so.
right, but
Okay.
if there is PFAS in the effluent, and once those two water recovery facilities are online, in theory, it could contribute to the watershed PFAS, then contribute to the drinking water.
In theory, I guess I would
Yeah,
ask.
I-
I would
okay,
ask-
I-
it's a-
sorry
it's
to
a
bring
great-
up-
It's
yeah,
it's a very good question. I guess I'd rather be better prepared to answer you in a better way,
Yeah,
all right? So,
So we'll put it on an agenda for the future.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
Don't you
If we can do it after October.
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to give just a kind of a quick overview of the SRF program.
Right.
Okay? So SRF stands for State Revolving Fund. They fund water, which is drinking water, and they fund wastewater and stormwater, which they refer to as clean water. So they typically fund projects at a 20-year loan and at 2% interest. That's a standard package that you would get. In recent years, they've introduced what I would call kind of more special funding. So you can get 0% financing, which you're all familiar with, if you meet 6 very special requirements, including what's called a flow-neutral bylaw. There's also principal forgiveness at various levels. If you're a Tier 1, 2, or 3 community, and that's an income-based classification. And then there's the Cape and Island Trust principal forgiveness at 25%. So the package that Mashpee gets is you get 0% for your projects. I believe you get 6.66%. I think you're a Tier 2 community. And then you get the 25% principal forgiveness. So that's typically what you get, all right? This is all kind of recent within the past, I don't know, 8 to 10 years, these other kind of deals that SRF has been giving. The way the process works is you request funding. What I did here is I have references to years. I have year 1, year 2, year 3. So when I mention a time of year, you can see as you go through this process, it's a 3-year process, okay? So at the end of July is when you submit your request for funding. It's called a project evaluation form. So that's in year 1. Their funding list, who makes the list, who gets funded, comes out at the end of year 1 in December. They call this the intended use plan. That's the draft, comes out in December, and then in March of year 2 is when the final list comes out. You then have an application that's due, which is essentially like a loan application that you would submit to like a bank because you're submitting for a loan in this case. That's due in October of year 2, and these are all calendar years, okay? And then you have to have executed contracts by June 30th of year 3. So you end up with you're in 3 calendar years, roughly two years though, if you look at it, two periods of 365 days, okay? That's a cycle, it's an SRF cycle. And then with executed contracts, you're in construction then. And I just have an image here to show the IUP, the intended use plan. This is the funding list. This is for your phase 2 project where you're listed right here.
Whose list is this? Ours or the
States.
state's?
This
or
is
what?
the state, sorry.
The
This is the
state.
state. The state issues this. And very briefly, I'll tell you about this column here. This is how everybody's ranked, their points. And you can see for your project, you had 540 points. And what happens is there are major classifications. If you are a nitrogen removal project, you get 500 points. So you start out with 500 points, and then there are other ways that you can add to that 500 points, okay? So you had 500 points being a nitrogen project, and then you get 40 additional points for various other reasons. It could be that, is the project going to be helping a coastal water body? Are you protecting drinking water supplies? It's
Saving the mussels, yeah. anything.
various things, yeah, various things, all right? And You know, you could see all the other communities that made the list. You could see the different kinds of projects they have listed right here.
Could you highlight ours so I can
Sure.
find it again?
So it's right here, 540.
Okay,
Okay, right here.
yeah.
The groundwater means what?
It is the type of permit that you have. So, so you can see some of them are listed as stormwater, some of them are groundwater. If they're listed like this, that means they have what's called an NPDS permit, which is a federal permit for discharge to a surface water. So it's different types of permits. So when we put in what's called the PEF, which is the request for funding, that's when we, try to accumulate as many points as we can justify for the project that's being submitted. So that's all I had. I don't know if there's any other questions on this or anything else?
No, but this just simply means that this went in 2024, and then we heard that we're on the list and that Phase 2 is set and ready to go for when it comes to town meeting, what, in May?
So this was Phase 2. We're about to go
Phase
into
2 is done.
construction for that.
Yeah, it's
So
right
this
done.
came out this came out
2022.
last year.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
in March of last year.
exactly.
And once you
Okay.
find out you're on the list, then you say, okay, well, we're going to go to town meeting to get the funding, because now we're on the list.
Right,
okay?
right,
And
so
then
we're
you go
set to
through
go.
your design, and you put in your application in October, and then you bid your project and award it by June. We got a 2-month extension in our case.
Right,
Okay.
till August,
So
right.
that's the kind of the general process.
Right, and that's why, where we are now with the letters then going out to the town, with the contracts have been settled, they've been decided, and the construction will begin as of the time limit that you had published before.
Yep.
2025 to 2027.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Are there any other questions or comments from the other commissioners? No? Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Mark. That was extensive, and it was quite comprehensive, and we appreciate it. So it does answer a number of questions that have been on the table for a while, where we're going with the phases, where we're going with the other parts of town, and where we're moving forward. This is very exciting. So, Mr. Meter, I believe that we are ready for I have no report. The chair's report was next, and next it's the wastewater superintendent update.
Okay, thank you. So I just had a couple things that's more of a informational. Just so you're aware, the original intent was to do billing in October, our first billing cycle. We're going to put that off
Billing cycle for whom?
for the people that are connected.
Okay.
Major reason is third-party ability to work with the munis. There's like bridge programs and the way that, like, how we send out the bills, how it's printed, and trying to sit these organizations together where they can make sure all the communication can happen accurately has been a real challenge, and I'd rather forego forcing a bill out that could potentially be wrong because in that transfer data it could not line up right, and happen to do a lot of abatements and corrections as opposed to let's make sure we get it right and vet it out. And in fact, we met with one of for the meter reading portion, the guy today, but it came back to that last thing. We come to them with questions, they have more questions. I say we just need to get in the room and let the two important people talk and not us get in the middle of it. So that is being arranged now. We're hoping it's just another waiting one more bill cycle into the January area, but I'm just in caution. And plus, there's so much going on. And we are way understaffed for that. And so just an effort to keep my staff healthy and committed to staying here and not going somewhere else, I want to not add that pressure to them. I think this is one of the areas that we can make sure we do it right and take the appropriate time and do it. So
you're saying the billing cycle is being held off until when?
at the earliest, January would be the next opportunity if we want to stay in the cycles that we want to use. So
What does this essentially mean to homeowners then? they
Those
don't
that are
have to pay
connected
for-
already don't have to worry about a bill coming in yet, and we're not going to backdate it for the areas.
Couple of freebies.
We will start a start read date when the time comes, and hopefully I can at least get the start read done in October, so we have the numbers.
Is this going to be monthly billing or quarterly?
Quarterly billing. So it's not like somebody's going to have to worry about that first bill being 6 months old, because I was one of the first to connect. We're not going to do that either. We just want to make sure it's done accurately and all the information's in there.
So the first bill that goes out will be only for a quarter, even
For
if they-
a quarter,
even
yes.
if they've had 6 months of service?
Yes, and the reason why I ultimately came to this is we are being subsidized 100% by the town on the operating costs. So regardless if we collect or send bills out, it's still going to we're going to be subsidized 100%. And after talking to the finance director, they thought it makes total sense. Let's just make sure we get the bills done right.
And get them done correctly.
Yes.
I agree.
So, and that's what we're holding off on. Next thing I want to talk about, something to put in everybody's mind, is we have to start preparing for is the connection policy. In phase one, we had a 90-day connection policy, but that we needed in order to start up the plant. We had to get people to tie in. Phase two, we can look at possibly extending that out, especially with the number of houses that are being connected. And we're already seeing the bottleneck in phase one, which it's only 1/3 of what phase two is. It would be much worse to try to meet a 90-day, nor is it necessary, because once we get the flow in, for phase one, when phase two comes online, all we're doing is diverting the current flow to the trains, and we can do the startup process with those trains using phase one's flow.
Right.
So, but I think we need to start talking about, I'm going to put together a draft policy with my recommendations, and then that gives you guys a baseline to start with, things you want to change. I figured I'd give you a baseline.
Just as a personal regard, having gone through various things in my history, you treat every individual customer exactly the same. So don't change your policies just because it's going to be easier to hook them up. Maintain the 90-day policy, but don't enforce it. Don't change the policy.
I agree, that's what we're doing in
It's a
phase one.
recommendation on
That's what
my
we're doing in
personal
phase
part.
one. All we've asked the homeowners is you show us in good faith that you're making the effort, and it could be a situation where the installer can't do it. We're not looking at going after those people, but I think phase two, it's setting a completely unrealistic fantasy land expectation of 90 days. I mean, to even say that just shows a lack of understanding. I think we need to be more appropriate to the size of the project, and that's the only thing I caution against. If
Well,
not,
that's
it
how
just
you
means,
manage it. You don't necessarily change the rules. Because once you start changing the rules, then you got people fighting that you got something I didn't get. That's my point. That's the nature of my point. That's all I want to say.
okay.
So we're maintaining the policy of 90 days, but as you say, we're not enforcing it because it hasn't been an issue. It was an issue to make sure that people were hooked up
Aware.
within the 90 days so that the plant was functional. Now that that's functional, we can just move forward with what the policy is and just stay there. No one received a penalty, right? For whole phase one?
Not as of yet, no.
Okay, so
They've received warning letters that
We haven't followed
you need to
it.
communicate
That they
us
need
where
to
you're at.
follow through
They need to
with it.
just
So
communicate.
if we continue with the same policy, that people should be following a policy, and if there's a need for changing it or a need to look at it again, we can look at it again. But I
Okay.
think you've got a lot on your plate, and you've got a lot of things to work on, that at this point, let's maintain the policy as it is and as it was, if you don't mind.
Okay, and then the other question is about the policy of how we're going to move forward with people that have a brand-new Title V system that's 2 years old, or do they have an IA system, and how old is it? The Board of Health has been very clear with homeowners that if they have a failing system or a failed system, if it can be limped along until sewer came through, that has been allowed. If somebody is demanding to build a house now, but sewer's coming in 2 years, they have made exceptions on, instead of forcing them to put in IA, to put in a Title V. And so those questions have been made clear to homeowners. I think the biggest one we have to look at is, and I'm a firm believer in, if a homeowner put it in an IA system because their system failed catastrophically, that maybe we should allow that system to continue to be operated, because the homeowner invested a lot of money into that, as long as they continue to meet their permit, their discharge permit, they keep their O&M agreement, because that's the number one thing that fails with IA systems, and as long as they maintain those and don't sell the house, that we consider allowing them to continue the use and operation of that IA system for its expected life.
Then we should probably just relook at the policy to be sure that we've got one that's equitable and that does allow for people to do that.
Yes.
Okay, because there was a question that came up at the information meeting, was whether or not we were going to be allowing variances for people who had new septic systems, and then they were going to be put on either the cluster system or hooking up to phase 1 or phase 2. So I think it is timely that we're looking at that as a possibility.
Yes.
And I think if we have people who are in that situation, so that we have a record of them, I think we should have them apply for a variance.
Yes, absolutely, that's what I mean. I just want to make sure it's something that we can consider, and if it is, that'll be the
Yeah, if
process.
people do apply for a variance, then we have a record that what kind of system they have and why we're giving a variance and how it's keeping things above board.
Yes.
So I think that if people realize that there will be consideration for that, I think it puts us all in good stead. So we're not penalizing people for having done the right thing in working with the Board of Health, and then to realize that they're now going to be, the sewer system is available to them, either one of them, then I think this is good judgment.
Yep. So I just want to make sure, because I didn't want to speak out of turn to anybody that started to ask those questions and
No, the
make
questions have
assumptions.
been asked, and I
Yep.
think it's about
Are
time
you
to
in
raise them.
agreement with the Board of Health?
I'm agreeing with the Board of Health. I think they've been very responsible to people.
That's all.
Yep.
I'm happy.
I would agree.
Just so you're aware, we've received our instructions on the operating budget, start putting that together for next year, and we were directed that no additional staff will be entertained this year. But I'm still going to apply for additional staff only under the fact that we are an enterprise fund, and that technically it can be an alternative funding source. It's not just a town tax roll. So I am still going to pursue additional positions. My staff has been working above and beyond any expectation I've had. From the minute they get there, to the minute they close the door, there's people at the windows, and they're still trying to get the day-to-day work that we have to get done. And it's literally had a physical toll on our staff, like physical. And I think we need to address that. And so I'm still going to submit under an alternate funding source, but just so you're aware, I wanted to let you know that I was doing that for this operating
Jared, to be
budget.
honest with you, because of the support that we also get from the staff within the wastewater department, if you need a letter of support to going forward with that, we'd be glad to write one.
Thank you. Thank you. People have already touched upon it, the Mashpee Wakeby cluster system. That first meeting I thought was phenomenal. I really enjoyed the comments, the questions. They were very, for what I was hoping for, they were actually participating and trying to build something better, because regardless of what anybody's voting stance is, it's still going to go to town meeting if it passes. I wanted everybody to at least have an opportunity to participate in this design, and I felt that was achieved. I hope more people come out. It was mainly the abutters, and it is, I want to remind everybody, it's open to everybody, because we're trying to design something that's going to be a model example for possible future areas, and let's make it the best we can. It was actually brought up at the One Cape Conference at one point. It was impressive. People are talking about it. And I've only received those positive comments. There's still concerns, things we can work out, but that's the process we're doing, and I think it's going to ultimately be finalized as a great process. I think, like it was said, I think we've set a new standard going forward, that we created a lot more work for ourselves, but I think it's an appropriate standard to have.
I think the important thing that you need to mention is that the questions that were raised that had to do with the aesthetics. What is it going to look like? Am I going to see it from my property? What's going to happen with trucks coming through? What's going to happen with access into the working area? And what's going to happen with the conservation land? Now there is an opportunity for open land to be formally addressed as conservation land. The questions that were all asked were all answered. And I think that you should be patting yourselves on the back because you answered all the questions that were raised. So it'll be interesting to hear in the next information meetings what other questions people have. But I do feel that the concerns that were initially addressed from at least 2 months ago have been asked and answered, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah, and the only sad part is like what was demonstrated, shown to us here is it was a very positive meeting, and then it was like I came out of there like, yes, at least we're talking in a good way. Mm-hmm. And then just inaccurate, designed to create division statements with no name attached to it. You know, it just makes it frustrating, but I'm not going to dwell on that. We're going to dwell on going forward with what we've made here in this progress.
I agree, and when you do give license, or when you respond to inaccuracies and lies, you give them more fodder. And so I think the most important thing is to have the forum so that people can ask the questions, answer the questions, and ignore the lies. Lies are lies.
Yep, we're going to build on the positive we've created and continue from there and hopefully come out with perfection when we're done. That's the goal.
Well, like you say, you want to build the best project that's possible to reach the goals, but also this dialogue between the residents and the staff and the engineers and all who in the town, all who are concerned about the project, this project and other projects going forward, is going to be an exciting process, and the fact that everyone is talking together makes a huge amount of difference, and that's, I think, what people are applauding. It was a dialogue. It was a
Very much so.
conversation. It was not a talking at or talking to, it was a dialogue.
It was great.
Yep.
The last thing I want to bring up was Mark actually touched a lot of the things I was looking at. I love how that happens. Substantial completion, there was a request put in for substantial completion, just so you're aware, of the Phase 1 of the plant, and I did not approve it. It wasn't due to a lack of quality.
Could you tell us what it means, please?
It allows us to release some of our retainage and go into the warranty phase of the project. I just had concerns because there was equipment issues. It wasn't defective equipment. It wasn't water line did anything wrong. It was just a programming thing and how something was set. So we identified that. And there's been some other small things, but it does say in the contract of 28 days continuous operation without any major issues. And we weren't there yet. And then there's insurance reasons we have to consider. We have to give our insurance company enough time to put this building into its policy. And from when it was asked to when they wanted to actually have it, we did not afford our insurance company enough time, and they actually asked for a 60-day. And I felt it was justified based off of our contractual things that have to be accomplished. And again, I'd like to emphasize, Waterline has done a great job and responded to everything we've asked or pointed out. They get on it. But just so you're aware, I did not grant it at that time, but we are going to readdress it over the next month and a half. It'll come back.
Okay, so perhaps in November that it would be decided.
I would say that would probably be the worst case scenario in November, so.
Okay. There was another question that had come up from residents within the Phase 2 area. In the letters that had gone out this time that didn't go out for Phase 1, about whether there was order of taking, whether there were easements, and could you clarify that for people, please?
Yes, so as a piece of slang, somebody said to me, it was written in legalese. It's legal verbiage. It says order of taking, but we're taking an easement, not a eminent domain type situation. And so what these orders are stressing is that we are putting a main down a private road, or we're going to come onto your property with a grinder pump, and that we're taking the easement, the utility easement. We're not taking the properties. They can put their flower bed back on top, but it's also protect them, saying that if we go in there and do this maintenance, we are responsible to restore it back to the original.
Restore whatever disruption is done.
Yes, I've even heard the assessors say people are asking for abatements from the assessing department because we're taking their land. We're not taking the land. We're just saying you can't tell us we can't fix the grinder pump in your property when it goes down.
Right.
I just think that just because the way the legal verbiage sounds, it did, voice, a lot of people were very concerned about it. We've been literally 15 deep at the window the other day of people waiting in line to discuss this, but I think for the most part, everybody we actually sat and spoke with has actually, okay, that's all it is, thank you.
Right.
And they've left. It's just,
Yeah, because the letter does say order of taking, but it says for easements.
Yes.
And I think people just get stopped.
As soon as they see that first line.
But no, it's
Yeah, they
just to
pop
have
flare.
access to the property in order to lay the pipes and in order to fix whatever is on there
Maintain.
to get done. Okay, it was
Yep.
just a clarification that was.
absolutely. Thank you for reminding me to address that.
Thank you.
And
Two
other than that-
quickies.
Yes.
Are the bugs growing?
The bugs are growing. They
The
absolutely.
filter working?
The filter is working,
What's
and
the result of the filter? What's it, level is it operating at?
So they're getting almost no solids leaving the plant at this point. I was just down there before.
I'm worried about nitrogen.
So, yeah, so I was talking to Al about this before. So nitrogen's a two-step process. So we go from ammonia to nitrate, and then nitrate to nitrogen gas. Right now, they're fully nitrifying, so all of the nitrogen is in nitrate form, and we are now need to fine-tune the denitrification process. So the first step is operating very well. We got to fine tune the second step now.
But we haven't got to the filtration yet.
So everything goes through the filters, yes. Yeah.
So what is coming out of the filter today was my question. Percentage nitrogen.
So there's still nitrogen. No, there's still nitrogen. Yeah, we're
Because the first two phases aren't working well enough.
Because the second part is not.
Second part.
Yeah, second part hasn't been fine-tuned yet. Yeah.
Okay.
We're troubleshooting that one now. So.
All right.
Yeah.
But you're getting healthy growth, so.
Yeah, so we're actually still building up a biomass. I mean, you mentioned the bugs. I mean, we don't really have a lot of bugs.
Nobody's killed it yet, yeah.
No, they're still
And no major kills. They're growing slowly.
growing, but they're not up to the population that we
Put some
wanna
sugar
have.
in there, it'll help it.
It would.
Yeah, it will.
Seriously, it would. I agree.
Yep, absolutely.
Does honey work just as well?
Honey works well, but it tastes better on my toast.
Thank you, Jared.
Yeah.
Good show.
Okay, there were several pieces of information or correspondence that had come through. There was one about a group from Lewis Bay Research that we wanted to just have you address for a second. It's about a type of equipment that was possible to be looked at in addition to the cluster
Sandwich, yeah.
system.
Yeah, so they're looking at the air vac system.
It's a different system.
It's
from
a
what
different
we're
type of conveyance of the wastewater. If people remember last year, Provincetown had that, was it last year or 2 years ago, where their whole system failed on 4th of July weekend, and that was this type of system. I'm not saying it's the same company, I do not know what company it was, but it's the same type of technology. It's not that it's bad, it's not, in my opinion, if it's been approved, it's a good type of system. I want to be clear about that. Even with IAs, if it's generally approved, it's gone through a very solid vetting process, but not every system meets every situation, and I
This
feel
is both
confident. with
solid- This is both solids and liquid treatment?
Yes, that one is. That one is. Then you have the Orenco system, which is mainly
Liquid only.
liquid only. So everyone's, but it serves a purpose for a specific need, whether or not it's the need we not, it goes through an evaluation,
Right.
and that's how we pick our technologies. I've actually talked to him several times on multiple things. A lot of energy, likes, really committed to what he's doing, but I'm not sure if this is something.
It's not something for us to consider
At this time, I
point
don't
in
think it
time.
is. I think it would be a cost burden to our project to
Thank
go
you.
with this. Yep.
It's
Jared,
important that you
Does it
evaluate.
remove phosphorus?
No. It's just a conveyance.
Right. I'm sure you must get a number of different manufacturers and different companies that are coming to you with different types of equipment. We've got the answer to your problem.
Yep.
And just from my hearing from a few of them, they don't even talk about what the problem is, but they've got a piece of equipment. So I think, don't
Yep.
waste your time, but thank you for
I
considering
had it
it.
at the one Cape, somebody came up, salesman, he actually owns the company, he's not the individual salesman, but he just said, hey, have you talked, yep, I've talked to your guy, and always willing to talk more.
Right.
Because, like I said, what's good for us today might not be good for us at the next site, and we should always take the time to reevaluate everything before we move forward.
And as we move into the phases, we may run into other questions and other problems as we go.
Mm-hmm.
So again, thank you for your diligence.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions or concerns that the commissioners have at this point in time? If not, then I will entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn.
And may we have a second? And any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourning unanimously at 3:12.